Well, how has your business, your laundry business, evolved through the years? Because you've been in this business now for quite a while. So how do you see, I guess, your vision of the business or your operations evolving?
So, my so I've owned four stores. I have three currently, but I started with two lease spaces and then I'm, now building them from scratch. Um, I think that, just that's kind of like, I don't want to lease anymore. I don't want to go down that path. I want to stick with standalone buildings. I really,
Mhm.
I would do a strip mall if I could own it, if it was a real small one, but I really want dedicated parking for my place.
Mhm.
And I really like starting with a blank canvas. I mean, that's kind of the part of it is, well, obviously you have a building that's there. I'm not building new buildings yet. We're using existing buildings,
Okay.
um, but you can completely reimagine the space. So that's a big evolution for me going from existing laundromats to being able to build new. And it took me a long time to do that
Yeah.
because it's expensive. So it took a
Right.
while to get there, but that's how it's evolved for me, really.
Okay. All right. Well, I know that when you first got into the business, or maybe shortly thereafter, you did take a run at full service laundry or wash, dry, fold, and maybe I don't know if you did pick up and delivery, but I know you did wash, dry, fold, maybe some drop off laundry. And it's something that at this point now you're a strictly self service operation. So you've kind of
Mhm.
changed your thinking on that. I guess through the years, can you tell me what are your thoughts on that? Because obviously, wash, dry, fold, and pickup and delivery are gaining traction each year in popularity,
Yeah.
certainly with the addition of technology. And you're kind of running contrary to that. So
Yeah.
I'm just interested to hear your thoughts on running a self-service operation.
Yeah. So, you know, I never wanted I never wanted wash and fold. That was never
Mhm.
really in the game plan. So it just kind of happened that way ended up being the store that I got into. And
Okay.
I learned to adapt, and we had all the folding techniques and all the things, and we did not do pickup and delivery. And I almost pulled the trigger on that a couple times. I was going to do that. And I'm actually happy I didn't because pickup and delivery, although it's a great business and some people do really well with it, it's a completely different type of business. And I personally, honestly, got kind of burnt out on my first store. So
Yeah.
the constant retraining and turnover in staff and having to retrain and retrain and train, and then somebody who kind of start doing their own thing, and then you got to bring them back and retrain them again. It just got to be too much for me. It started to drive me crazy, and it took me away from being able to buy another location. And I'm like, man, why I'm spending so much time training staff and filling in the schedule and running around. Like I don't even have time to look for another laundry. And that was something that bothered me a lot. And
Yeah.
um, I had bought the little unattended store at some point, like maybe 5 years after I opened, um, or I bought the first one, but I felt like I was stuck and I was getting burnt out just with all of the staffing issues. And I was never to the point where I could hire a manager or somebody to kind of
Mm,
oversee that. We just never got to that revenue point with that particular store.
yeah.
And that was one of the reasons why I wanted to bring up pickup and delivery at some point so that I could hopefully get to a revenue point where I, could get that in there. But I just decided to go a completely different direction and just sell it. So, and
Yeah.
honestly, I thought I was going to get out of the business for a while. I went and got my real estate license. I was going to flip houses. I'm like, I'm just going to do something else.
Yeah.
Um, and then after I kind of calmed down and was able to just think clearly, I realized that, like, hey, I can do this better and I can do
Mhm.
self-serve. So
Right.
um, the two stores that I built after that, I do have an area where we could store laundry. So I always had this thing in the back of my head, like
Right.
if I
Right.
made a mistake, if I
Mhm.
didn't, even though I feel like I'm really good at looking at demographic reports and interpreting revenue and all of that from those things and
Mhm.
evaluating competition, I
Mhm.
still thought if for some reason I'm wrong or
Yeah.
something changes in the market later down the road, if
Well, that's
I
true.
want to have the room to add wash and fold just in case. So
Right.
we have that ability
Yeah.
to add that, and the stores are two new ones are could be really well suited for it. But at the
Mhm.
moment,
Mhm.
I just want to focus on owning real estate and building
Mhm.
laundromats,
Mhm.
and putting the laundromat where the laundromat is really needed. So that's just been my direction. And there's some
That's
people that are
great.
really, really good at just a self-service thing. Like you don't, if you run it right and they're in the right spots, you really don't need those other things.
Mhm, mhm.
But those are other great revenue sources if that's something you're looking to do. So
Right, right. And it certainly simplified your life a little bit, I would think.
it has simplified my life. We made a lot of changes with how we hire staff, how we train staff, how we
Mhm,
schedule everybody. We
mhm,
brought in a lot of technology just for scheduling and things like that to keep
mhm,
everybody going. We have a lot of checklists and there's always challenges with that, but the challenges are much easier than they were having 100 pounds of laundry sitting there and somebody calling in sick and now you have to go in and fold all this laundry. I
right.
can literally just close a gate and I'm like, we're going to be unattended for 2 hours until the next person comes in. It's just kind of, if there's a
Right.
call in, it's
Mhm.
it's much easier to handle and much easier to get somebody to come in. So
Yeah.
that's where I'm going right now.
Perfect.